Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Rich Seidel. I'm your host on the Sober Voyager podcast, and I want to thank everybody who's out there and just enduring another hour, maybe an hour and a half of this incredibly awesome show. And yeah, we're just kind of going through it right now. And one of the things we're going to go through is not just, we got a special guest here. His name's Ryan Simioni. Everybody, welcome Ryan Simioni to the show. Cheers. And I just want to emphasize one thing. It says right under there, Ryan is not Italian. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. So, Ryan, what's name, rank, and serial number?
Name, rank, and serial number?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know my rank, but I'm Ryan.
Ryan?
Yeah.
All right. Where are you from, Ryan?
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach. Yeah. All right. Okay. And so we know each other through AA. And just throw that out there. Not a big deal, right? One of the reasons I think... I've listened to you share, and I've heard some of the stuff that's been, I've heard about your life a little bit, and you've got some stuff, and I think that those are the things that really help people really understand that navigating recovery can be a very difficult thing, but that you can stay sober even if those traumas, those things that have happened throughout your life are difficult, and I think that the way you shared about it and discussed things openly, and just it came across like you used the word really genuine earlier, and I go, man, this guy's really genuine, and he really has a good heart, and you look cool. He's got a cool look, right? Everybody look at Ryan's hair. You don't have to look at that. The camera's right here. The camera's over here. Yeah, rock and roll, right? So yeah, man, the name, rank, and serial number just basically is like, okay, here's my name, my rank is, I always like to go like, our sobriety date is kind of one of those things, because this is a sober broadcast. So name, Ryan Simioni, not Italian. We'll get into that later. But the main thing is, what's your rank? I guess if we use that would be your sobriety date.
Sobriety date, November 25th, 2014.
Okay, and that gives you how many?
Years?
How many?
9.
9 years. So his rank is he's a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Almost double digits, man. Almost.
Okay. So let's get into it a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Ryan. Like, in the big book, and one of the things, and I have a big book with me, and we'll talk about that. There's and you've heard this, you've been sober 9 years, and I think it's page 60 of the big book. It says, page 59. 58. It says, our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened is the impact moment, and what we're like now. So basically, what we used to be like is how we generally identify with our audience. Hey, this is how I grew up. This is what my family life looked like or didn't look like. And then my first drink, and just kind of go into that part of who Ryan is, and how Ryan got to be where he is. And then the impact moment is what happened, like what we used to be like, what happened is the impact moment, the catalyst event that made you raise the white flag and surrender. And then you can tell us that there's usually a story behind the day -1, meaning your sobriety date was what?
November 25th.
So on November 24th, 23rd, 22nd of that year, there was stuff going on that led, it could have been a year worth, 5 years, 10 years worth of stuff going on, right? But then those are the stories that kind of make people go, oh, I drank like that, or I felt like that. That happened to me, right? So the goal always is try to get your audience, whether you're in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous or being live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever we're going, that people go, wow, I can relate to that guy.
Right on.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about Ryan.
A little bit about me. I grew up right down the street from here. And honestly, besides, like, if you count a few things out, I had the most ideal childhood of all time. It was so good that it kept me in a bubble a bit, because all my best friends, we all grew up on the same street. We're just houses down. And we were all born 1990, so we're all the same age. To this day, we're still best friends. All 4 of them live in the same house down the street from my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because outside, it took me a while to find out, because the way I grew up is outside of those four friends I have, I haven't made friends since. I'm still working on that today, because my dad drank a lot. He was the only parent that I knew that was there. My mom left when I was like, before I was 1. And my dad drank a lot, man. He drank so much. Sorry, that's why my bottom got so bad. Because in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I'm not as bad as my dad yet. Like there was so many times I'd come home and I thought he was dead. Like I'd wake up at night to go pee, and he'd be like passed out, face down on the hallway. I would think he's dead because I was like, would be 5, and that would happen so much that I would just step over him because it was so routine. And then his drinking would get worse and worse until one day when I was in like the 2nd grade, I came home and I found him hanging in the garage. That was rough. That was it changed me a bit because I remember seeing that, and it was the biggest adrenaline rush of my life. Like it sent like jolts down me, and I've never been the same after that. Like I've been easily bored after that, but it makes sense because from that point on, I was into really high risk stuff. I would focus on skateboarding, and then I got into pole vaulting, and I rode that one hard. I would put in some serious work on that one, and then I got a D1 full ride scholarship to a school, and then I drank it all away. Instantly. By the time I was 18, I already had my first overdose in college. College said I wasn't ready. Like I was not ready, and about when I turned 21, something clicked, like, or I can drink every day. Like I don't have to wait for like Friday night, or I don't have to wait for like a party. I can drink every day. My birthday's February 8th, and by February 9th, when I was 21, I was drinking every single day, and that lasted 3 years. And I wound up I lost everything. I lost the scholarship. I lost my friends. I was under a bridge. I don't know if you guys know back then, around Angel Stadium, there's that bike path. There was a literal town in there of just homeless drug addicts. I was there. That's where I lived for a bit. And then that aha moment, that moment of clarity, is when alcohol didn't work. I would consume it and I would not get drunk. All it did was take away like my shakes and just take away the physical pain. And what made me really like kind of throw in the towel, and not just that, the obsession to drink was immediately gone when it didn't work. And for the first time in my life, I thought about killing myself. And then that gave me closure, because my whole life I thought my dad's death when he killed himself, I thought it was my fault. But that's when I came to the point where I was like, no, dude, he got there based off his life choices, just like I got there based off my life choices. I had nothing to do with that. And then I literally felt like a weight like lift off me. I haven't drank since. Like that took away the urge. It was too good, because in the long run, it kind of screwed me where I thought sobriety was easy because I didn't drink. But the emotional part is something that took me a while to figure out how off I am still. Because when he died, that's when I got to meet my mom for the first time. And I was stoked. Like, I didn't know her. And when I first met her, dude, like, her voice was so soothing because I never heard it before. And I was old enough to know, like, I had friends, and whenever they would get hurt or sick or scared, they always asked for their mom. And I got it. I understood why. Just being there, seeing her, just the vibe. I was drawn to her. It was so comforting. And then she told me, like, the meanest crap ever. She was like, dude, you're, like, I wasn't in your life because you're a product of rape, and it was too hard for me to look at you. And I was like, ouch, okay. So then I went to be ward of the court for a bit. And then when my sister turned 18, and I was in, like, the 5th or 6th grade, she took full-on custody and got me out. And from that point on, I don't know how to get, like, close to people, if that makes sense. I don't know how to get vulnerable around people.
Now, this sister, was she she wasn't related to your mom?
No,
Oh, same, okay.
We're both full, yeah.
Both
She's
full.
7 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah. But she turned out like a normie. I don't know why. I don't know how. We grew up in the same house, same.
So
same
she grew up with
experience.
your dad too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when she got old enough to take you in, she took you in.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So your sister's pretty
Pretty
rad.
rad. Yeah, she's rad. She's probably my favorite person of all
I
time.
would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. So she got you out of the home and brought you in with her at 16.
She was 18.
Okay.
I
So
was
18
like 11.
is like,
It's
oh,
still
you
not
were like
much.
11 and she was
Yeah.
18 and she swooped you up?
Yeah.
Wow. We should get her over
Yeah.
here. She sounds like a badass.
She is a badass.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Big Sis. What's her name?
Jenny.
Jenny.
I love you, Jenny.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. So that sounds pretty like that's an incredible story. Man, you could just go into details about everything a little bit, but we don't. So tell me, okay, so you're 11 years old. All this is happening to you. Sounds pretty horrendous.
Yeah, it sucked a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It was so overwhelming that I couldn't really focus on it. So I just kind of just shoved. I didn't really focus at all on it. And then when I got sober, it took me. I got sober in 2014. I didn't really start sharing about like my real story till I was 8 years sober because I just couldn't talk about it.
Right.
I couldn't think about it. I'd cry too much. It was just too much for a kid. So I just buried it down, and then I spent a lot of my childhood just kind of running from that, finding like I bond with like activities, you know, not people. I don't
So
know if
solo
that's
type is like like rock climbing, surfing,
Yeah,
things
just-
that you have to do by yourself.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When I did track and field, I loved it because I played football too, right? I remembered you can do your job amazing at that sport, and then you could still lose. But track and field, because it's like the
Team sport.
Football is a team sport, right?
Yeah.
Track and field, even though it's a team sport, I was a pole vaulter, and if you do good in just that one event, even if the team doesn't win, you still keep going on. You know, you keep advancing. So that's why I liked that one more because it's solo. Like you don't you don't get held back.
So okay, so like let's go. So that's pretty cool. So you got some really cool athletic abilities, and that's bringing you out of the trauma, and that's helping you refocus your energy.
An escape for sure.
And a great escape because that's what we're looking to do. And then alcohol comes in, you start drinking, you're 20. So you got sober. How old were you when you got sober?
24.
So you were 24 and you were like, when you were talking about the Anaheim, that was a big thing. I remember when they did the whole cleanup of the drainage ditch, the riverbed, whatever they call it. And that was like a big deal. Nobody really knew what was going on. And then the cameras go over there and it's like a shanty town over there. So let's get into that. Tell us about some shit that you did over there. That had to be cool. I mean, honestly, look, I'm not saying go be homeless and do drugs in the riverbed or anything, but I mean, there are some facets to it, some things to it that there's an allure to that lifestyle. Tell us something that happened that's like just tell us some stories of that.
First of all, like the best thing about it that I still think about today is how it sounds like an oxymoron, but how like stress-free it was because you don't have to wake up and go to a job. You don't have to wake up. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, dude. You can just literally just exist, you know? You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to shower. You don't have to do nothing. You had no place to be, nowhere to go. I do miss that carefree side of it, but it was dirty. It was scary. It was when the sun goes down, you see things and you hear things that you don't want to see.
Right. Yeah. Like what? What are some? What's going on at night over there? I was just thinking. Okay, so as soon as it goes night, that's when all the creeper people come out. Right.
A lot of aggressive behavior, I guess. There wasn't a lot of girls there, and for obvious reasons. So,
right. Yeah.
It would be kind of guy on guy stuff that you don't want to see.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Because you're living under a bridge, dude. You're far away from the eyes of like anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally like in the shadows.
And then alcohol and drugs play a big part of that lifestyle. A lot of drug dealing going on there, a lot of weird behavior.
Yep, I only use that place for like a kind of a spot to crash and keep my stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't mingle too much with the folks there because
So you were just there kind of existing. It wasn't like you were like going, hey, let's make I'm part of your clique over here.
No, because my drinking was so bad. All I had to do was just get drunk, and I would just sit still. Like as long as I was drunk, I didn't care what I was doing.
Right.
As long as I was drunk.
So you were there just drinking yourself into oblivion.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
For in that exact spot, probably about a month.
Okay.
But the years up to that, like when I was about 21, 22.
So you're in go back to the D1 Ride Scholarship.
Okay.
So you got the scholarship out of what? What high school did you go to?
Edison.
So you were at Edison. All right. So you graduated what year out of Edison?
2008.
2008, you graduate, you get a D1 scholarship to what college?
I went to Cal State Fullerton.
Cal State Fullerton.
Because I know the coach there. I've known the coach since I was 15, and we're still really good friends now.
Okay.
And their sports team was good. Like their baseball team just came off like a back-to-back national championship, and it was, for me, like it was too much of my, I wish I went somewhere else. I went there just because I didn't have to change my life. Like I can still stay at that same house. I didn't want to leave my friends, my sister. Yeah. Fullerton's only a car drive away because I got things from Duke, from Brown, from ASU, from UCLA.
Wow.
I turned a lot of those down, man.
Some good colleges.
Yeah, it was.
And then, so how was your drinking when you got recruited? So you're out of high school. What was your drinking like at that point? You weren't even drinking.
No. My high school. Yeah, my high school. I wish I could have kept that mindset forever. Like, and I had a goal, so I had purpose, and I had I still am. Like I'm very driven. Like I like long-term goals because for me it brings structure. It gives me something to work on every day, which is structure for me. Mm-hmm. And
then, okay, so you got a D1 Ride Scholarship. You're not drinking. You're focused. You got structure. You got a goal. You get to Cal State Fullerton, but you're still driving to school. You live in your neighborhood. You live with your sister still. What's going on? When does the drinking start?
The drinking didn't start till I was about 21 because I was doing drugs now at the time because I got to school for some reason. I don't know what it was. It's when all the alcoholic stuff you hear in the rooms just started hitting me harder. Like I just felt lonely as hell. I couldn't connect with nobody. It's the first time in my life where I'm separated now from my 4 friends. Like we all went to the same high school too. They all went to the same middle school. We all went to the same elementary school. We all lived on the same streets. I'm with them codependently. That's when I found out I am a little codependent. So I just started I didn't know what to do because I didn't know that at the time. I'm so young that like I know I went through some stuff as a kid, but since like I moved past it, I thought it was gone. I didn't know that like the scarring that took place. Like I ghost people all the time in college. I would meet girls a lot, and like once I would really like fall for it, that would be awesome, and I would ghost them because I don't know how to get vulnerable, and I have like intimacy problems.
Right.
Yeah, I think it
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, considering your past,
yeah,
it's happened to you. I
but
mean, it's like, yeah,
you don't at the time. You're so young and like you're ignorant to all that, to like the
think,
psychology
you know,
of it.
Even being like having all the trauma that you just got done describing, that's just a boy. That's how boys are just immature and they don't know how to handle relationships. I mean, a lot of it there's a lot of it that has to do with your past and the stuff that traumatized you. But then again, you know what a lot of it has to do with? Just being immature.
Yeah, sure.
Just being an unexperienced boy who doesn't know how to talk to girls and express himself or share how he feels, you know what I mean? And just doesn't really know how to make decisions. Those are just like things. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember that too. It's okay to be immature little boy that doesn't know how to handle girls.
Yeah, that was just like icing on the cake because in retrospect, that's when I found out like how alcoholic I was, like how untreated I went because I self-sabotaged like no other.
Now that might have something to do with the trauma.
Yeah, like no.
So what happened? You're at the college. You're into this now. You're 18, 19. When does the drinking really escalate for you?
About my end of freshman year into sophomore year, it gets to the point where like I'm not even my coaches knew that like I'm not all there.
So what happened? You start now. You're with your 4 friends. Are they drinking and partying too?
Yeah.
Doing drugs, smoking weed. When you say drugs, what do you mean?
Back then, it was like oxys. Back then,
it
was like
you were
2009,
doing
2010.
Were you snorting them?
Snorting them.
Okay, so you're already fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
right
so
when I got there,
man.
man.
So like you're already snorting oxys. And I you left that part. I was like, you thought it was just. So yeah, because if you're snorting oxys, that's generally not a good sign.
Great sign, yeah.
That's a bad sign.
And that's when I found out, like outside, like
that generation. Like now, everybody talks about fentanyl, but everybody kind of forgets how actually the progression. It used to be like so. Everybody starts out with Xanax, and then they're like Norcos. They find Vicodin, and all that stuff, and then they discover kind of the progression of that.
Because I've done. Heroin too, oxy, it's the same thing, same feeling, dude.
Right, yeah.
Same exact. It's too much. Like, you don't need to be that high. Like you really don't.
So you just kind of started like, when did you like take your first like when did you decide I'm gonna snort this?
I did my first snorting when I actually was in high school, but that was just like a one-time thing.
Okay.
When I got to be about 19, I just started giving up because I just felt. So I felt alone, even though I was in like a giant school. I was the captain of my team too.
Really?
And you're around so many people, but I'm not connecting because I didn't know that I'm like subconsciously like keeping people away, like from the like abandonment issues. So it's hard, like, because you don't know what's happening. Like, it's you're longing for like intimacy or like connection, and you can see it like right there. It's like right in your grasp, and you're just not grabbing hold of it. And you can sense that, you can feel that people love you and stuff, and you're just rejecting it. Like,
Right. Okay.
and it's a lonely place, and that's what drove me to just say, "F it, dude. I'm just gonna get high. I'm just gonna get drunk. I'm gonna ride this out."
So that's how it all started.
And that's how, because once I get high and drunk, I'm a different person. I don't think about tomorrow. All my goals are gone.
So it was never social.
Oh yeah, no, dude. I never social. I would drink alone. Like I'm still to this day. I'm not a very big socially outgoing person.
So, but how did you get a hold of the oxys?
Parties.
Parties. Okay.
Yeah, and then you meet one guy that's my deal, and then you just grab a hold of his phone number, and that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all
So
you
now
need.
off
Just
and running.
one little
So
connect.
got it. So that's how it all started for
That's
Ryan.
how it all started, man. It was off, dude. It happened so quick. It's so quick.
Okay, so you're at D1 school now. You're 2 years into your schooling, and then you just blow the whole thing.
Yep. By the time I was 21, that's when I was already. By the time I was 20, I was already mentally checked out of everything. I was
Were
just
you getting
showing
good grades at all? Or were you
For the most part, yeah. Not when I was 21, 22. They drastically just, because I couldn't even take notes. I would shake. If I didn't drink, I would shake so bad. And I'm getting kicked out of everywhere I live. So I'm actually living now in the track and field locker room. We got a couch, a fridge, a microwave, toilet, shower, a big locker to put all your stuff. So I lived there for about a year while I was still in school. Yeah. And then,
Really?
Yeah. And the janitors would come in at like midnight, just vacuuming around me. Like,
That's because you were getting high all the time.
all the time. And everybody kicked me out. My sister kicked me out. I got in touch with an aunt on my mom's side. Didn't know her at all. And then I moved in with her for about a year. And she's like, dude, you got to go. 'Cause, yeah, makes sense.
And then that's how you end up
Homeless.
homeless.
Yep. Because it started with that. I moved into the locker room. And then from that point on, I'm just I'll couch surf. I'll just bounce around. Never had, from that point on, I didn't have a bed till I got to rehab when I was 24. So I was just couch surfing, just.
So at 24, you got into rehab.
It was a trippy way how though, because my college pole vaulting coach, I haven't seen him in years, because I got so bad I dropped out because I self-sabotage, right?
Right.
I was about 3 months till I was going to graduate, and I'm just, because people are like they believed in me, which freaked me out. I don't know, like it made me feel too much pressure or like anxiety. I would have people from Nike like coming to my meets to like scout me out. I had
Wow.
2 teachers in college pull me aside on their own and say, hey, if you want to go to grad school, I'll help you. I'll write you the letter of recommendation, blah blah blah. So many good things are like happening to me, like subconsciously. I'm like, I gotta screw this up, and I did. It didn't take me long.
Wow. Looking back, how does that, like when you kind of look back at, you never finished school then?
No, I'm 3 classes shy.
3 classes shy of
to
a
this
bachelor's
day,
degree.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good news then.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like one of those things, you're in a place in your life when you really realize you've been sober for a while. If you're only 3 classes short, any time you want, you could like go back and get those classes, get a bachelor's degree. What was your major going to be in?
Philosophy.
Philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of those majors they talk about that really help people out. But you know what's funny is like, because with a philosophy degree, you can get a master's in social work, I think, or therapy or some type of, you could get a master's in like an actual
Something.
licensed vocational, like a licensed family therapist maybe, or maybe do they, is that something you'd ever be interested in? With all your
Definitely.
experience, think about that, because like, what do you do right now for a living?
Painting mostly, construction work.
Okay, construction work. Okay.
It's not ideal, but it
Paying
is
the bills
fun.
right
Yeah,
now.
it pays better than I thought it would.
Yeah, no, that's good. If you're good at
honest.
it.
Yeah.
So, man, you were high school, college pole vaulter.
Yeah, and then when I dropped out and when I finally was under that bridge and alcohol didn't work, it was like a panic attack. 'Cause I put all my eggs in that basket, and I'm like, I'm only 24. Like, shouldn't I be able to drink till like at least 30 or 40 or 50? And then when I decided to quit, I heard a car honk, and I'm still under I forgot exactly where I was. It was off the 57 around there, and I hear a voice, and I turn back, and it was my college pole vaulting coach, who I haven't seen in about a year or two because I dropped out. And long story short, he let me stay with him and his family and until I got into rehab. It was about a 1-2 month wait. And what trips me out to this day is when the rehab called me back, he dropped me off there. And I remember I had my hand on the doorknob to go in, and I asked him, hey, what were you doing in that part of town? Because he's not from there. He lives in like Coda de Casa area. Like, he's got some money. So, and I was in a really sketchy part of like Santa Ana, Anaheim. And he told me that his GPS glitched and told him to randomly get off on that exit. And he was pissed about it too. He's like, why am I getting off right here? Blah, blah, blah. And then that's when he saw me crossing the sidewalk of that exit off ramp. And that's where he ran into me. And that's where he saw me. And I was like, wow. I just felt like that was divine intervention right there, because it's a 10-second window to see me walking across there.
Less than 10.
Yeah, less than 10. He told me his GPS glitched out of all things. I was like, wow, it strengthened like my belief in God a lot.
Totally.
A lot.
You know what's funny is like those kind of events, like that's how you know God is real sometimes. Yeah. I swear, I have this whole series that I want to do where like we share our God shot, our most miraculous, unbelievable moments that are like, the idea that actually even happened, the concept of that, like you said, that window for you to be crossing the street at the exact location that he's driving by at a car that's going like 20, 30 miles an hour, right? The opportunity for that to happen is like so, what do they say? There are no coincidences. You've heard that in Alcoholics Anonymous, right? We hear that in the rooms. And I think that those stories are so powerful. That is one of the most powerful things I've heard in a while. That reminds me of some of the things that have happened to me, because it's so random. And that's what happened. That's the what happened moment. That's literally like what happened is like God intervened in my life, like in a powerful way. Yeah, and like that is unreal.
Seriously, but I still pull strength from that, like to this day. Like when I want to like doubt God or just anything of that sort, I'm like, I can't do it.
You can't deny that. And so like there's something else you can't deny. And I'll do this as an encouragement to you to really seek out and tap into whatever, like, so a lot of times I explain God or I explain prayer as a frequency, kind of like, you know, that radio signals are transmitted throughout the air. You can't see them. And you wouldn't even know they existed unless you had like a magnet, a piece of paper to another magnet, a little diode, and some wires, right, that wrap around the magnet. But literally, with the right little hardware, those things you can make a receiver, right? And that receiver can pick up the transmission that is floating around in the ether somewhere, right, that you can't see it, and then it turns it into sound, right? So we know, and then in between that particular station, right, there's a bunch of white noise, right? And then what happens to some people is they never get tuned into the station. They go through their whole life listening to white noise. And only some people, right, will be able to get that, see that moment where you were crossed path with that man that changed the trajectory of your life, where you said, you know what, that's where I all of a sudden realized that God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Moment happens, right? That is a signal to you saying not only did you receive the signal that you're a special human, that you're the type of human, you're the type of species, the being that has the ability to connect with that higher power, the level that most people are certain. They could be going to religious denominations and never have an experience like that. Never. They don't even know what it looks like. They're searching for meaning in their life. And now here's the inspiration, the encouragement. You've had that experience. You know what that means? It means that you have something that other people don't. You have something that other people don't. See, because God's working in your life in a way like you weren't practicing any type of religious thing.
Not at all. Wasn't even on the
He probably wasn't either.
Of my mind.
So like, I use this term too for a lot of people. It's the universe collaborates in your favor. And the universe collaborates in certain people's favor versus other people. And you know what? I've heard people say, well, so-and-so gave back and he was a great asset to the community. And you're saying that God favors you, who doesn't do jack shit, more than he favors that person. And I'm saying, yes, it's true. Not because of anything I've done, it's just because that's the way it is. I don't know how to explain it, because that kind of incident just doesn't happen to everybody. So now what do you do with that? Now you gotta seek more of it. How do I connect with that and actually use that and find out why has that happened to me? Why did that happen to me? And how can I turn that into more to help other people? And maybe that's the path that Alcoholics Anonymous creates for us, a vehicle. Because there's a lot of people in the meetings, right, that have these, that's where the saying comes, there's no coincidence, God shot. Because we experience those more so than anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm going to encourage you right now to take a look at that and go deeper, like do a deeper dive in that and start going through your history and say to yourself, what other times in my life have I experienced this unexplainable connection or opportunity, or let's just use the word universe collaborating in your favor? Because what happened after that? He took you into his house.
Yep.
You got off the street. You just got done saying that you had this moment of clarity. Something was happening to you, right? You go, I can't do this anymore. It's not working anymore. And it all started, and then that happened?
Yeah, like almost simultaneously. Yeah, it was like, it's what I mean. For the first time in my life, I felt like cared for, like nurtured in a way. Like I felt seen. Because my whole life I've always felt unseen, like really unseen. And then, yeah, I felt like it's undescribable. Like when I went through that, it was very divine and very, not spooky, but like mystical. Like it changed my life. Like after that, I found out there's a monastery temple in like Trabuco Hills Canyon. So I started going there when I was in rehab to learn to meditate. So I had some of the monks there teach me how to meditate. I was probably so annoying because they'd all be like doing their thing, and I'd be like, hey, can you show me that? Like, what are you doing? And they would. They'd help me out.
Yeah.
I still go there. It's a cool spot.
Wow, that sounds really rad. I like it. What's the name of it? Give them a plug.
Oh man, I would think it's like I just know it. This is the monastery.
The monastery.
Temple, and
you don't even know what it is. It's a monastery. We're in Trabuco Canyon.
Yeah, because every other Saturday they have a meeting there still.
AA meeting?
Yeah, just pictures of I guess Bill W used to hang there or something.
Oh, every other Saturday at a monastery. Okay, we got to put that on our bucket list of things to go to.
Dude, it's fun. It's a cozy room too. It's legit. It's cool.
It sounds cool. I like that stuff. I love that.
There's real monks in the orange robes just doing their thing. Yeah.
All right. So you got there, you start meditating. So you started seeking out, what were you looking for?
Nothing much. Just get in touch with myself more.
Okay.
Like know thyself kind of things.
So you ended up staying with the coach for 2 months, and then you end up going to a rehab after you'd already been sober?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a place to live. He had to get you off his couch.
Pretty much, yeah. And then, I probably needed, I don't know.
You needed help.
Yeah, it just felt
Next
like
level.
if you go down that path of, drugs and alcohol, just felt like the right thing to do. Just throw them in here.
Yeah.
Throw them in.
Because, in the end, it's like everybody kind of nowadays, I got sober just in Alcoholics Anonymous. I went from being homeless and then getting introduced to AA and then going to meetings. And that's how I found my recovery. Because like you, I just got to a place where I was finally understood the gravity of my situation. I was finally capable of seeing what I was doing wasn't working anymore. And I just didn't know what to do. And I didn't know how to do it. And then Alcoholics Anonymous came into my life and it showed me something to do. Not whether I really wasn't choosing to do it, but it's just it's something, right? And it seems to have worked for me. How did you get introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous then?
Not really. It was weird because when I got sober, right, I told you the urge, everything to drink was gone. So I thought I was just kind of cured. I didn't really start doing AA legitly until I was about 3 years sober.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just felt like something I had to do because I knew I had a background of drinking heavily. So I don't know. I think it was just God kind of giving me the nudge that way. I don't have any good reason why I went there. I just felt like it was the right thing to do, and I still felt like I was lacking something.
Okay, good.
And
so that's a
church.
good point because so you basically went 3 years sober after this treatment, going to the monastery. Now, what was the catalyst? How did you go, hey, today I'm going to go to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Honestly, when I figured out, I knew that I don't socialize well. I don't meet well.
So there it is. How did you do with that?
Yeah, and when I was in rehab, I remember that was a big part of AA, the fellowship, unity, just kind of felt like a giant, not like frat, but somewhat of a group of like-minded just friends, I guess. And I've never really had friends. I just wanted just figure something out. I was just lonely again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is, a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope, right? So that others may recover. So that's where you kind of just said, I'm going to go there because I need fellowship. I need to do this. I can't doing this by myself sucks.
Yeah, because pretty much I get hooked on. I don't know if this is like an ADHD thing, but I get hooked on like activities. Like I get really like it gets me like almost like a high, like a hyperfixation. Yeah, 100%.
When you're doing sports, you get the hit.
Yeah, and then like I started making decent money, and then I started doing a lot of the stuff I wanted to do. I started like to rock climb, started to travel, started to skydive, and then you can have the funnest life of all time, because this is where I'm at now. This is why I came back to AA a second time, because I stopped coming to AA when I was about 6, 7 years sober, because I felt like I was becoming too part of, you know.
Oh, then you were too much fellowship.
Yeah, then I don't know how to.
Right? So that's the
alcoholic mind. 100%, 100%. And I just bailed on Thursdays, like just overnight, just like that.
Yeah.
For like 3 years. And then I ended up coming back, because no matter how fun you make your life, if you don't bond or connect with human beings, you're going to be really lonely. And you can jump out of 9 airplanes a day, right? And then just go back home, and you're just going to be home alone. That's me. I'm just alone a lot.
Yeah, you remind me. What was that movie called? Cliffhanger. Remember Cliffhanger? There's a couple guys that Gabe and what's his name? Remember
Sylvester Stallone? Or
no, not Sylvester Stallone. He meets those guys. They're also like rock climbers, and he meets them out on the thing, and they're like, hey, there's whatever his name is, and they're 2 young guys. You remind me of one of the guys from the Cliffhanger.
Oh, right on.
Because it was just that life. You know, I mean, there's kind of that hippie lifestyle, rock climber style.
That makes perfect sense, because when I was under the bridge, dude, the lifestyle of a rock climber or skydiver is not much different. They sleep in tents in their cars. They're vagabonds. Like it's part of the culture. You just drive to drop zone to drop zone. You're allowed to sleep there. You're allowed to stay there. They
How
got
many
showers
jumps
there.
have you had?
Not many, just like 30. I think 33.
Okay, that's plenty.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm still right now. It's just the weather sucks, so it's very weather based.
Yeah,
so,
right. You want it to be nice and sunny.
I do. You don't like have to, but you know, I like it like that.
You can see more.
Yeah,
I've done it one time.
Yeah.
So there was Cole took us all out. A whole bunch of us went out to I think Paris. I think it was, or was it Paris? I forget. Somewhere out in Riverside.
Right.
Somewhere out there. Somewhere out there by Riverside. I can't remember. I mean, yeah, it was Paris.
Yeah, there's a drop zone there.
Yeah, there's a drop zone there, and you go there and you take I did the jump. I strapped into somebody, and it was the funniest experience. Like there's a whole bunch of us and guys from the center, from the treatment center. Everybody went. My son went. My wife at the time went. My ex-wife, she's my ex-wife now. We all went, and it's funny too because they line you up and they team you up with a jumper. And the guy they teamed me up with was like really short. He was like really smaller than me. So I was bigger than he was, and he was this little guy. And we're in the plane, and the scariest part of the whole jump is, I think, when the plane takes off, and you're like, and I happen to be right next to the door of the opening, right? Yep. And so I was like the second person out of the plane, right? So. But the thing about it was, as the plane's taking off, you're like at the door and you're looking, the door's open and you're watching the ground go by. And then all of a sudden the plane takes up off, and it's this little plane, right? Not little. I mean, there's like 15 guys in there or something. It was a bit. But you watch the land just slowly go away. And you're just getting higher and higher and up. And then you're actually seeing the reality of your situation is that you're going up in the air and the ground is just farther and farther away. And that to me was like that was a pretty scary moment. Jumping out of the plane the first time, I just looked up and said, go. But the whole way up, the guy that was like strapped to me, he's sitting there and his legs were shaking. Like he had restless leg syndrome. He's just like, they were literally going like that. He was like, and all the other jumpers that are like strapped in with our other people, they just start bagging on this dude. And I was thinking to myself, what do I got here? I got a guy I got some like newcomer guy I'm gonna jump out of the plane with this little guy.
Got the newbie.
I got the newbie. And he explained to me, he goes, don't worry, he goes, I've done plenty of jumps, but I always get nervous before I jump out of the plane. And he told me that right before we're jumping out of the plane.
I want to keep that yourself next time.
And I had I have a video of the whole thing. I paid for somebody so the other person jumped out, and it was pretty awesome. We both jumped out, but in the video, you can see where he lost control of us because we were just like fully tumbling kind of out of control a little bit. It didn't look like the person before us. They kind of just jumped out and turned around really smoothly, and were free falling as we jumped out because she was a camera lady, and in the video, because she's videoing my whole jump from outside, and we were like in a kind of a reckless tumble. It looked like kind of like havoc to me, but I didn't really know what was happening. And finally, he got our little mini chute. There's like a mini chute that goes out, and that kind of stabilizes you, I guess. And he was having a hard time pulling that and getting us stable. So it was a little sketch. I will say that. But once we, well, yeah, it was a little sketch. But once we got stabilized, we started free falling, and I swear it was one of the greatest experiences I'd ever had, because it just felt like the funnest thing you ever do.
It really is.
Real, like the kind of laughter that you get from. I was laughing hysterically because it was that. I don't know. It was really. I guess it was the adrenaline that was going on, but it's super fucking cool.
No, it really is. It's addicting.
But you got to be like me. I'm like but you have the freedom to go out and do as much of that as you can.
Yeah.
Right on. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll have to try to do something like that again. I'd like to go do that.
Yeah, I'm down. I go a lot. I go like almost every weekend.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and that's when I found out how like I do everything in this kind of way, and even like my program, which is like why I have to change things up, is I kind of do it like my way and alone. Like when I first skydive, right, for the very first time, it's kind of like most people do the tandems that you're talking about. A couple of them. Are you strapped onto all that? Me, I was like, F that, dude. I remember I just woke up going, I always wanted to skydive. Let's do it now. And then I get there, and they're like, no, I was like, give me my own parachute. I got this. And that's how I did it. That's how I did it. Very first time, dude.
You jumped out by yourself?
No, well, you still have like a coach there, but like the very first time I ever touched a actual parachute was when I was putting it on. And you're in it, dude. Like you said, you're getting that plane, it's flying up, and the first thing I thought of was like, dude, there should have been a lot more steps till I got to this point right here.
Right. They just let you do that?
They did.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, I went just straight for it, and yeah, because I just do things like I have a lot of like willpower, because I lived a life. If you don't have parents, you need to make like stuff happen on your own. You need to
resilient.
Like,
you have like you learn to have like life skills.
Yeah, everything I did, I had to learn school. I know I had a teacher, but I knew like if I didn't learn this, I'm screwed. Like I don't have a tutor. I don't have anybody at home I can ask for this. So I'm just so used to doing everything on my own.
So isn't that interesting that what you got just done saying? So while there's a lot of trauma in your life, it also, and that was probably created some obstacles probably for you, and probably still there's probably some undealt with stuff that you probably would want to deal with. But it also enables you to be more self-reliant in areas, and really have to rise above and go above and beyond the average person who's kind of coddled.
No, for sure. There is a give and take. There are good sides to trauma, and there are also bad sides. Like my work ethic is unreal. It's second to not many, just because like it had to be that way. Like I had to figure
you have to perform, and you have to prove yourself.
Yeah, and if I didn't do it, that means like I went without,
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a safety net. I didn't have backups.
If you don't work, you don't eat.
Exactly, dude. So my work ethic's unreal. I don't give up like easily, like at all. Like.
Yeah. So so you got 9 years. You cut back, and you kind of did 2 stints in AA. 3 years, you're like solid. Did you get into the steps at all, or what happened with that?
Yeah, I went into the steps with one guy. Not like so much a sponsor, just somebody to just because you need somebody to do the steps with.
All right.
That's what I mean by doing things my own. Like I still don't really believe in sponsorship. I believe in like having a group of people whose like opinions you trust or value. So I guess in a lot of ways that means I have more than one sponsor then, because I do like I'm not against advice. I just don't know what it is about the whole like
intimate relationship. It goes back to your it kind of
could be, this could be my stuff. Like,
it could be just the idea of being intimate with one person and going, okay, I'm going to have this person have a relationship with this person, because that's what's required. And a lot of times people have superficial relationships too with the people that take them through the steps. But a lot of the times, just the idea of going, hey, will you be my sponsor?
Yeah, I still
that's enough to make you go, yeah, fuck, it's cool. I won't do that.
Because I still don't understand the concept of the sponsor. I brought it up in a meeting one time. It kind of pissed a lot of people off, as I said. sponsors, because it says in that big book that most of us, it doesn't say all, it says most of us are self-centered, self-seeking, self-obsessed, just basically selfish, like basically like narcissistic. And I said sponsors are for those types, because if you have a lot of empathy, it's like a fact that you can take yourself out of self and see how you're like affect the people around you.
Right.
You know, so it's, you can hold yourself accountable, but if you don't have any empathy, like you can't hold it. You're like objectively unable to. If you're like a real narcissist, you can't do it.
And you need a sponsor if you're that.
Yeah, because it's an honest program, and those kind of folks can't be honest with themselves. It's not in their hand.
What I've
That's
learned
what
about
psychology
that, though, is
says.
I don't even think people who are narcissists can, like, even when somebody tries to take them through the steps, they fucking can't do it because they're narcissists. So they can't even, if you question them or to ask them to honestly look at themselves, the victim mentality comes alive, and then now you're playing this game with this person, and you're better off. Like, I think in the end, like, but have you, you said something about everybody is your sponsor. Or you said everybody you take advice from. A lot of people.
Yeah,
so
they could be.
That's a good point of view to take, because I think Chuck C., the guy who wrote the book New Pair of Glasses, he never had a sponsor either. And he says that everybody's a sponsor. He keeps his ear open. He listens to how other people do things, and he applies that. And then he has his council of people that he talks to.
100%. And then I do pull a lot of guidance from Carl Jung. When I got sober, I got really into him. Like
okay,
a lot.
got it. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of like they say, he's like part of the fatherhood of this whole program for sure. Some of the thinking, I agree with that 100%. Was there any time throughout the process that you've thought, because it's about giving back, and they do talk about at this point in the game, you know, that sponsorship does play a big role, taking other guys through the steps just because they need help, and they're being told they need to get a sponsor. Have you ever thought about taking guys through the steps, and like, have you ever read through the whole big book and like actually,
I read through the big book. I'm still on the fence about having like sponsoring people, because if I have to do it, like you would, if you have a sponsor, right, you're kind of showing them the way you did it. I didn't have one, so I don't know what to offer them, because I'm a kind of extreme. If do everything, kind of, not everything, do a lot of things in like an extremist way, where my program is, if you're going through a hard time and you have a lot on your mind, I isolate and I sit alone with it, because you're either going to do something dumb and like kill yourself, or you're going to move past it.
So, you know, one of the things that my sponsor used to say to me over and over, he said, if you do what I do, you'll get what I get. So when you say you don't have like, so, and like me and my sponsor didn't read the book together at all like that, you know, but I watched what he did, see, and I copied that. In addition to he went to meetings and he helped newcomers. That's what he did. He went out there and actively went out of his way to help people just get a hold of this book and get into a meeting. If you know, the sponsorship, working the steps, that comes along after. But his main thing that I saw him do was go out of his way to help, like myself, but mostly sometimes people we didn't even know. Like, I would be driving home. He happened to be my boss, my landlord, my bank, everything. By the time I moved in with him, I was like, sure, I'm going to do AA, because I was homeless, and he gave me a place to stay, gave me $5, a pack of smokes, and drove me to work. And he was the boss, so I got to work every day because, you know, he was my sponsor now. So I was, sure, I'll do AA. You know, well, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Smokes, money, a job, everything, right? Why wouldn't I do it? But what he did was, I watched him. I was with him every day. He spoon-fed me this stuff. But most importantly, what I saw him do was intensive work with other alcoholics, people who were needing just anybody he would just show love to people, you know, and just show that he cared. And maybe it's that simple. And because the truth is, it really is that simple. It doesn't have to be anything else but that, you know. And this book is like, hey, yeah, read the book. You know, just like you were saying, get you do your fifth step with anybody you want. But at the end of the day, it's like, maybe if you looked at it from the perspective as like, hey, I do have a lot to offer because I am still sober, and I've traveled and I've journeyed and I've done all these things and maintained my sobriety despite the things that happened to me in the past and the things that I've had to go through along the way. So you can definitely help other people navigate like what we call the treacherous seas of recovery. I love that stuff because it's dangerous out there. Like you said, like living under the bridge. It's dangerous. That's what treacherous kind of means, danger, right? The treacherous seas, it's dangerous. And that's why we do it together, because alone it's scary. Just like that's what leads you back to the alcohol and drug use, is when you start isolating and you do things alone and you don't want to have relationships with people. Now it becomes one of those other moments where I'm like going to say, hey, maybe I should encourage you. It's like if you just use that mind yourself, hey, you know what? I can do this. Maybe I should get into the book a little bit more. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's up to you, right? But it sure is fun too. Gives you something to talk about when you get together with a person.
Sure. I feel like though, like as time goes on, it probably will, because it just makes like logical sense. Because I know you learn things differently when you teach them instead of like being on the other end of it, you know? Yeah, so I get that part.
Yeah. It's probably like your next, it's going to be your next thing. Like your next obsession.
Yeah, true. Because at the same time though, dude, like, because when it comes to like the physical act of being sober, that to me is all for me. It's just willpower, and I got a lot of willpower, so that alone keeps me physically sober. But you can't willpower your emotions to feel a certain way, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because if you live my kind of life, it is pretty lonely, and then you can't just tell your feelings, hey, don't be lonely. Like doesn't work that way.
Well, you know, earlier I was telling you about like when you had that moment with the coach and he just happened to randomly drive by. There's this the universe collaboration for God's collaborating in your family. There's a spiritual connection. You have access to something that other people don't have, obviously, and that's the way I see it. Whenever I hear stories like that, that's why I want to go back to that, because to remind you not to forget that you have something that other people don't get to experience, and then you might not ever, and if you don't know that you have it, you won't do anything with it. You know, it's kind of like having a lottery ticket, that if you got the lottery ticket, but you don't go check to see if you won.
Yeah.
Like you got the ticket, now what do you do with it? Like, what do I do with this potential that I have? The world, the spirit, the universe is accessible to me in ways that other people it might not be. Now I could just be saying that and it may sound funny to some people, like, oh, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's some truth to it, because
Definitely.
It happens only to certain people, though. So do you have any other incidents like that?
Not too much off the top of my head. I remember when I got out of rehab, nobody knew where I was for I didn't tell anybody I was going in. So I think I was MIA to my circle for about a year. Like my sister didn't know where I was. Like nobody knew where I was. They didn't even know if I was alive. And then deep down, I knew I need to get in touch with my sister. I got to do it sooner than later. But I was just being a baby. I was just being scared. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, the time's not right. And then one time, that same coach took me out to eat for my belly button birthday. And we sit there. We're at the table. And then my sister, her husband, and her kid. This is when I got to meet my nephew for the first time. Got sat at the table right behind us. And I got mad at my coach going, hey, did you set this up? My sister's right there. He's like, what? No, not at all. And then on my birthday, again, I just ran into my sister, like, because it was on the very front of my mind going, hey, you need to call her. You need to check in. You need to tell her you're still alive or something. And I was just being a baby about it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to face that music. So God did for me again what I couldn't do for myself. That part tripped me out too, because I remember sitting down, and then like 5 minutes after I sit down, I see her walking in to the random restaurant that my coach took me to. I was like, what are the odds? Like, for, you know?
Yeah, it is.
It needed to happen, because when she saw me, we both started crying. Like, she thought I was dead. Like, yeah, so that was nice. Like, that's why I feel like after those two things, you can't run or hide or lie to, like, the universe. Like, you know what I mean? You're really not in control. Like, that's what helps me figure
that's
that
why
out.
I'm saying is like, and that doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to enough people that we're at in this, like, the spirit world that we live in, whether it's whatever you want to believe in, and I'll leave that open to everybody's own interpretation. But that kind of brings us to that whole, if you're working the steps, they come to step 2. It says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. What does that look like to you in terms of the higher power thing? And you've had these experiences. Now you can start formulating different ideas and go, hey, where do I want to go with this? I was at the monastery. I was here. I've had all these experiences. How do I share that and how do I introduce other people to it and help them recognize that they have something, a gift, so to speak. Have you thought about, like, because obviously you weren't raised in any type of belief system. Have you been able to like formulate a belief system over the years? Like you've been sober for a while. There's the 3rd step prayer, the 7th step prayer, the 11th step prayer. There's the serenity prayer. There's the Our Father prayer. Do any of those prayers bother you? And if so, why?
No prayers really bother me, but I remember growing up, one of my favorite books of all time, when I was like 16, I read Siddhartha by Herman Hesse or Hesse, whatever his name is. That one got me more spiritual, more towards like Buddhist or Eastern philosophy a lot more. I'm not, don't mean to offend, but I'm not really into like the Catholic,
religion, Catholic,
I'm not really
Christian,
into that too much.
Muslim, what other ones are there? Basically, that's it.
Yeah, Judeo-Christian.
Judeo-Christian
I'm not
thing,
really too.
You're not into that.
I'm not into it. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad or anything. I'm just saying it doesn't
resonate.
Yeah,
with
it doesn't at all. So I got more into like the spiritual side of like Buddhism. Like they have sayings to me that make so much sense.
Do you have a good one that you know about?
A few of them I like a lot is the meaning of life is suffrage. Like that makes sense. And the root of all suffering is attachment. And my all-time favorite one, because this is what one of the monks told me at the monastery. It took me a while to like figure it out. They told me the highest form of intelligence is to observe without judgment. And to me, when I heard that, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, if you cooked me soup, right, and I said it's good or bad, both of those are judgments. Like, even if I call you gorgeous or ugly, like, both of those are judgments. So like, what does that mean? And it took me a bit to...
What does it mean?
It means that we give everything meaning on how we perceive it, how we judge it. That's what gives it meaning. Nothing has meaning at all. Like, when my dad killed himself, it's objectively not a sad thing or a traumatic thing. I interpret it that way. Like, as we're human beings, I guess. Like, we interpret it that way. There's no science book that says that is a devastating act. We just, the way you interpret things, the way you judge things is what gives things its actual meaning.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's
it made
pretty
a lot of
good.
sense. That was my.
I like that.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out. Yeah,
I'm sold on that. Well, because it is true. Because everything is our perception.
Yeah.
How we basically we create. It's very subjective. We are witnessing something, and the meaning we assign it is dependent entirely upon where we're at that specific place in time. Now, when you're like 7 years old, and this is the only parent you know, that would be devastating. So there is a connotation to it, but now maybe in the material, spiritual, whatever world, it's just an act
neutral.
of him. It's neutral, and it could be looked at that too. But when you don't have parents, you don't have anything behind it. It's pretty traumatic, and then you experience something that somebody your age shouldn't have to experience, and then you assign a value to that. But now you've moved past that, and you've discovered. There's a line in the book that says, "We had to let go absolutely, or unless." And how it works, right? When they read that chapter 5 portion, until we let go absolutely. The results were nil until we let go absolutely, right? And I remember reading that too, like, and I know that the attachment is suffering, and that means so I have to let go. In other words, of the things that are, I guess, the obstacles, the bondage of self. Again, bondage is something that's holding you in together. So if you let go of those things that are holding you, that's when you have true freedom, so to speak. So that kind of plays itself out right there when you say, relieve me of the bondage of self. That's me letting go of self, and the attachment isn't like, hey, I really like this pen and it's causing me suffering. Now, that again could be subjective because it's like, hey, I really like drugs, but it's causing me suffering. And the other person goes, well, I like drugs and it's not causing me suffering, right? So I'm going to continue to do it. This person goes, well, he's doing it. I'm going to continue to do it too. But this person's life just keeps going down, 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 down. This person keeps going, right? So what does this person have to do?
Just psyche change, I think, or change their perspective, or
probably let go.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah,
might be let go.
Yeah.
So what's funny is like, if I let go, it's like, but this person, you can see this person. So we're kind of getting back to these two perspectives, right? It's like you're saying, so this person doesn't have to let go. I think that's like the challenge for all addicts is we see other people getting away with it and doing it, and we're like, wow, and then for whatever reason, it takes us down. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, dude, it's all in our heads too. That's the trippiest part about it.
So okay, so you're kind of leaning toward a more Eastern, but you don't
Yeah.
really do any. You just go to the monastery though.
Yeah, no, I go there at least a couple times every few months. But
Okay.
I meditate though every morning still.
Okay.
Kept,
What
like,
does your meditation look like?
just old school, sitting down, legs crossed, it's quiet, just sitting there
Okay.
like that for about 15 minutes.
Just
a
like
day.
trying to be quieting the mind. Still.
Yeah, or I'll repeat a mantra of whatever I
Oh.
need at the time. Like when I was in the skydiving school, when I would meditate, I would just focus on confidence because it was scary. So
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
confidence. Yeah.
So you kind of do. Okay, gosh.
Yeah.
So you're kind of reprogramming through
Yeah.
meditation. It's a way of programming the
Yeah.
mind anyway.
That's what I found out, dude. Because when it comes, if you lived your whole life based off willpower, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if it's on my conscious mind, dude. I got it. I get like to not drink, right? That's
Yeah.
a choice. It's up to me. Subconsciously, you can't like it's. There's no telling it what to do. You have to like do work to rewire it. Like even Carl Jung says, like we're driven by our subconscious. Until we make the subconscious conscious, we're gonna do stuff and ask ourselves, hey, why did I do that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
You know,
the main
that's-
thing.
yeah.
Is making our subconscious our conscious. Yeah. That's his main thing.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's like how. I don't know if the working the steps. I mean, in the end, it's like because there's really. I don't know if it's so much the subconscious because I'm trying to have a spiritual awakening, right? And so they give us these steps to help me basically come in conscious contact, I guess, with just. I always when they say with our higher power or whatever, some other and the higher power could just be the ability to bring our subconscious to the conscious.
Yeah, that's bigger than it sounds though. There's like if you do that, that's a huge change. Like
Spirit,
bringing
that's
the
it.
subconscious to the conscious, that's a
Right.
huge change.
So what's your goal? What is parachuting, painting, construction?
Yeah, mostly like my normal like goals. I guess I'm more right now more focused on like emotional goals because I still have a hard time getting close to people. Like I still about a year ago I met an awesome girl, so out of my league in looks and money and just everything. And then when the feelings came, I ghost instantly just that. Like my friend showed me on his phone. Then in the past 10 years I've had 9 different phone numbers. Because I'm just very, like, I told you, I don't be part of. The second I feel like I'm part of, I'm out. Like, I'll go do my own thing.
Yeah, so one of the things, I guess, like a lot of people, whether you're new in sobriety or been around sobriety or trying to get into sobriety, it's this, the concept of, like you said, the most difficult thing is having intimate relationships and formulating relationships with people in a way that's meaningful. One of the things about the vehicle of Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps, is it is a like practice. It's like the sandbox of relationships because it's true what they say. Like when you're a child and you go and play in the sandbox, this is where you learn to share, you learn to fight, you learn to be kind, you learn to throw sand. Really, so much happens in the sandbox, right? Where it's early development stuff.
Yeah,
That's
really,
where
I
it
thought
really
that.
takes place when you think about it. So, Alcoholics Anonymous is kind of like a sandbox for a bunch of adults who have now, stunted their. They skipped over. They skipped over the playing nice and doing the things and being. You know what I mean? So now, and the reason I think that maybe the other thing for a new goal is maybe getting into because so if you said you had a relationship, awesome chick, but you blew it because you didn't know how to navigate it.
I just disappeared.
You
No
just disappeared.
heads up, no
it just
warning.
scared you.
Yeah.
So one of the things about having fellowship in your life, somebody that you're open, honest, and transparent with, is the ability to share how you're feeling so they can help you navigate, right? Get from point A to point B without ghosting, without, hurting other people, hurting yourself, and actually starting to formulate real relationships.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like why it's important to get somebody in your life that you're open, honest, and transparent with, that you've shared your deepest, darkest secrets. So you could go to them with anything and not feel judged.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're absolutely right. Because I've been sharing on that topic for not even too long now, but like a few weeks. I've already people will pull me aside and like tell me advice and stuff that makes so much sense. Like part of it, like if you come to AA and you really like buy into it, you're gonna figure stuff out whether you like
the
it or
best
not.
thing on the
Yeah,
planet.
because it's weird though. Because I didn't want to. I was told something that I agree with, and I just didn't want to hear it at the time. So I'm still in like the denial phase of it.
Sure.
It roots down to because I still don't have a lot of self love. That's why
Yeah.
I don't accept myself yet. That's why I don't let other people accept me. If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why you get together with somebody, work through. All you do is read together, and it's like self-discovery. They have that saying: uncover, discover, deal with, and then discard.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's pretty much the idea behind it, so that when you go out there into whatever next relationship, whether it's your job or your potential, future mother of your children, I'm assuming at some point you want to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So then, before you go out and do, I mean, that's not going to happen. How old are you?
34.
Oh, you're young. But as you're at that point too, where it's like, hey, it's time to find somebody, get going, because you don't want to be a 50-year-old dad going, oh God, I got a little, brand. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to do it while you're young, take your kid out and do all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I already physically peaked, so every day that goes by, I'm just getting further and further from that.
That's not true though, because I'm older than you, and I still do all the fun. I'm having pretty much fun. You're gonna be doing cool stuff the rest of your life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Let's see, what else is there? What else is going on with you?
Not much. I just been kind of about a year ago, like around June 2023 is when I came back to AA after taking like 3 years off.
Okay.
It's because I just got really lonely, man. Like I've been pushing everybody away. Like no matter, even like friends, like even platonically. Like if you look at my skydiving flight log, like my flight book, it'll show my very first class was in like August or something like that of 2021, and then it just shows a giant gap, and then it shows me going back to the school in like October 2023. And it shows a 2-year gap is because when I would go there, I felt like I was being part of, like people were recognizing me and like, hey, Ryan's here. And they're like, hey, after the sun goes down, we're all going to have a barbecue, blah, blah, blah. So I just stopped going around them because I felt like I was becoming too part of. That makes sense. I do it with everything.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's when because when I would grow up, I would always think, all right, once I would like run away from a group or a girl or anybody, I would just think, you know what, they're not my type or that's not my crowd. And then it gets to a point where you can't deny it. Like I belong here and you're still running away from it. So that's when I figured out this is 100% me thing. This is like my unhealed alcoholism or abandonment issues or something. So I felt like going back to AA would be the safest spot to learn to be part of and be friends because I feel like it's part of the gist. You know,
it is.
It is. So that's why I felt like it's the safest spot. Yeah,
it's like the coolest thing ever for sure. It's like that's how we get. We're sitting here because of that too. You know, and the cool thing about like you got to really like being a good friend takes work. You know, you go into the meetings, you're kind of acquaintances with people, but then you got to spend time with them. So if you're talking to somebody, what advice would you give to somebody who's like either let's start out with the guy who's still out there struggling with his addiction, like you were homeless on the street, or they're young and their parents are on their back. What kind of advice do you give to somebody on how, if somebody came to you, hey, my child's doing this, what should I do? What do you think?
See, that's the hardest question to like ask me too, because I don't know. Like for being in AA, right, and for being an alcoholic, I am the luckiest one. I honestly think out of all the alcoholics, I might be one of the luckiest ones because I had that psyche change, that moment of clarity that just took the obsession to urge everything off. It's gone.
Right.
I don't know how I did that. I can't walk if I knew how to have a psyche change, I would write a book on it and probably make like $1 million, but I don't have no idea. I can't hold somebody's hand and walk them down to have that where you're just like it was a absolute no. Like I could not stop, and then I had that psyche change and I was repulsed by it. I was like, I don't want this. Like, yeah, get it away. I got like it was immediate, like within a second. So that's how I'm super lucky, because I remember being like you said, like drinking my life away, didn't know how to stop, couldn't stop. Some people don't stop. Some people die. Some people stay that way. And that's what I mean. I feel like I'm legitimately one of the luckiest ones, because this whole 9 years of being sober, it's been so easy to not drink. So that's what I'm trying to say, because the
obsession
urge isn't there.
The urge is there.
It's just like me. I follow a strict diet. My favorite food are donuts. I hardly ever eat donuts. Like it's kind of the same thing like that.
I want a donut right now. That sounds delicious, actually.
So, yeah, but I feel for those guys that can't quit, because I go into the Thursdays, and you see the constant retreads and the. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like my advice is too much of being a dick. I want to be like, hey, it's your choice. You made that choice. Like, it's entirely up to you. Like, I don't.
You know, one of the things I like when I said that to you, you know, the thing I would say is good luck.
Yeah, for real. That's all you can, because I feel like nobody can really figure this out except you. Like that whole horse thing. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Because I know I have friends that pull me aside, like, hey, my brother, or hey, this, like, they're drinking a lot. They can't do this. They don't want help, and there's nothing I can do. If they don't want help, you don't help them. Like, that's the best advice I have. If they don't want help, don't help them at all.
Right.
Or at least you're just gonna enable. So I'm still, because even though I've been sober 9 years, I'm still like curious on how other folks figure it out. Because when I hear it, it's never from other people. They say they had their psyche change or their moment of clarity or they hit their rock bottom. It's nothing so far. I haven't heard anybody get sober based off like what another person said. It's their experiences that brought them to like that spot.
Got it.
I'm not saying
well,
other
that
folks
makes
don't.
sense. Nobody's like really just getting like, they say that you go to meetings and you're trying to share something that somebody will say. You're trying to say something that so somebody in the audience will go, wow, life-altering message you just said, I'll never drink again. It doesn't really ever really happen like that. What a lot of times the sharing is to reinforce the idea that you may have a problem similar to mine. And if you do, then here's what I did in order to, and what I continue to do in order to not drink again and then destroy my life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're really, I guess you could just take them, you know, the question always is like, what do you say to somebody who's out there struggling with it? Hey, why not go to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous? Open your ears a little bit, listen to what these guys are going through, and if you relate to it, you might want to take a look at what they're doing, and maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't.
No, I totally get that, because when I relate with somebody, it doesn't necessarily make me not want to drink. It just makes me feel more comfortable within that setting or within that person. It just makes me feel like there's more camaraderie, there's more connection, there's more, all of that. Like, it kind of takes away the divide that I put up when I hear stuff that I can really relate to. Because I grew up thinking I was very different based off like my childhood, based off everything. Like, I was an active kid growing up. I would go to like track meets, right? Everybody had a parent there. But everybody, just definitely. I didn't have anybody there. Nobody.
Right. Nobody ever.
My sister would come sometimes.
So it was kind of lonely for you, for sure.
A little bit, but dude, I was so like, I used it in such a good way. It motivated me.
Right.
It was
you
like,
felt fine being on your own.
Not felt
Very
fine.
resilient.
If I was the underdog, that's what I mean. If I'm doubted, I'm gonna do a lot better.
Yeah.
With the track thing, once I started getting good and getting seen, I'm like,
you know what's crazy is there's a
after
thing
that.
for addicts and alcoholics have this underdog thing.
Yeah.
Like when the chips are down, when people are telling us we can't do something,
We're gonna do something great.
Yeah, that's when we like push hardest and we actually go out and just climb higher, go faster, be stronger.
Exactly.
I've always done most of the things that I've accomplished have been in an attempt to prove that I could do it, and because I have a self-worth issue,
Same.
and I'm trying to make myself look good, feel good. I mean, even the stuff I'm doing here right now, you know, this is because I need to be recognized. I want to do something, and it's like it's no different, you know. There's not a lot of things. I mean, it's just that I recognize it. And is it weird to say that? Probably, but there's some truth to it for sure.
Yeah, truth isn't always like truth's good though. I don't think the truth can be weird.
So speaking of that, let's go switch gears a little bit. So tell me about like I always say there's like 5 things a person should be current events they should knowledge about. Obviously spiritual matters like religion and you know just spiritual things, finances, real estate, and politics. What are some of those areas? Like, what's a controversial? Like, well, let's start with this: ancient aliens,
Love
UFOs.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Okay,
Dude, I was into that stuff before that even became a show.
Hello, I was too.
Yeah, I remember I was 7 years old. I got from the Scholastic Book Fair. It was like the eight or seven wonders of the world, and the pyramids were on there. And I was like 7. I never could like not think about that.
Right.
Like, who built them? Like, the fact that we have no idea who, I feel like that all of our great minds should be trying to figure that out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's so much, like, dude, that could be a revelation if we figure that out.
Well, I mean,
like,
if you
change
look
everything.
so I mean, honestly, that's the truth. I mean, I think that the history and the stories that they tell us are completely bullshit. Everything they're telling, because I believe they do know who that is, and they're not telling us because there's a reason for it, right? And it's just like if you look at those cathedrals and the things they call churches nowadays and stuff like that. If you really look at those buildings and go, okay, so you're telling me they built this cathedral, this like the in Cologne, Germany, there's this fucking building that's insane, right? Look that Cologne Cathedral up.
I think I know what you're talking about, like the Gothic looking one.
The Gothic looking one. Okay, so that supposedly is built in like the 1400s or something, like, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, they dirt roads, no power tools. They got people live in grass huts, and I mean, if you look at and the very small population of people that actually are existing around that time, and somehow they had this craftsmanship and the skillmanship to like use a chisel and build that stuff. Where'd they get the material? They mud roads, no tools, horses, maybe carts, maybe they had some wheels. I don't even know, but somehow they were able to build that.
Yeah, dude, I think there's a lot I feel like we're not being told.
It's so cool, huh? Like when you really look at it, like from the pyramids all the way to like, I was looking at that one place in Germany. It's that Gothic looking cathedral. It's massive and it's just so ornate and intricate. It's like, that wasn't made as a church.
Yeah, and like for the most part too, like the way things are built, right? It's we have no idea. That part's like phenomenal, but like the architecture itself, I heard like rooms are shaped in a way where if you're all the way over there and I go, like you can hear it because it bounces off the walls, right? Like the angles are built, the dimensions are built different. Like it's dissecting like the dimensions of these things too. So you get a lot of answers, like a lot of
They can do that, but they don't have toilet paper.
Yeah,
they don't even have toilet paper. They don't have toilets. They don't have anything at all. But they can build those kind of buildings, but they don't got anything like real. It's like to me that whole thing's bizarre. And then so you're on that page.
Oh, 100%. Because I remember when I went in college, right? I was actually a history major. Oh. And then I took shrooms for the very first time when I was like 18, 19.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And then shrooms told me, hey, dude, you're majoring in BS right now. Like, nobody knows. We don't know this. Like, because stuff, when you read, dude, I had to read, you know what, like a primary source is? It's
It's like that's what they, you know what, that's what they teach you in school. They go, the primary source is your newspaper. So anything the newspaper says is fact.
Objective, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very, so like, they totally indoctrinate you and train you to believe that. See this school book? That's a primary source.
Yep. I remember reading the Journal by John Smith when he got to, I guess, like New York, right? It was dude, he was saying like he fought off like 50 savages on his own. He tied his translator Indian to his arm to put him as a shield and would like just kill like hundreds of Indian. I'm like, dude, you're full of yourself. Like, I don't believe this like at all. And like that's an objective fact. Like that, I have to study this, and by that is fact. And, like, so there's a lot of history you don't know, and I found out that archaeology started out as just a hobby for rich white people.
Right. Yeah.
Just a hobby.
Yeah.
And then
at least that's what they're telling us too, right? Who knows that?
That's yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at one of the things I kind of know. I was on this. I forget what site it was at. I was looking at. They used the Statue of Liberty, and they show down at the bottom. There's the Statue of Liberty's feet. There's like it's got a leg brace on it with chains.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you look it up at the bottom of the statue.
Is that real?
Yeah,
like it's actually on there.
It's on there in the whatever it is. It's a statue, right?
Okay, if it's got the chains, it's starting to look like it's a lot like Prometheus. Then wasn't he like the light bearer that was chained to like a cliff or something?
Yeah. So there's like that's so like what it means is like what they tell us it is and where it came from is one thing. Maybe. That story's like we don't really know. All we know is what they tell us, right? Mm-hmm. But I forget what it was that I saw. I got to look it up now. So that's part of the, part of the fun about doing stuff like this is like, and what I want to do is set it up so that this thing here can. Oh wait, you know what's funny is I don't know if my. You know what? Right when I started to write the when I started typing in. Like, this thing was closed, right? Mm-hmm. Here's another conspiracy. I just started typing in, and what pops up? What does that say?
What we were just talking about.
Cologne Cathedral.
Yep.
I didn't even like do anything, and the first thing on the thing was the Cologne. I mean, I just start like, look at that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That
Is that insane or what?
it really is.
That's the most insane building
They don't
ever.
make buildings. I don't know why. Like,
Well,
the
because they
buildings now
can't.
are
Because
cold.
we're not. Because when you really look at it, let's see. I wonder what.
Dude,
what
our buildings are boring though. The colors, it's like just everything looks cold and no character, no warmth.
Yeah. So the story on this one is that it began in 1248. So they're trying to tell us in 1248 they constructed that building. In 1248, they didn't have anything. They didn't have electricity, no lights, no power
It
tools.
wasn't even the
they didn't
Renaissance yet.
I mean, that's insane. Like, yeah, but you know, it's kind of that kind of stuff that really is interesting stuff. And I think that, like addicts and alcoholics, I think we love stuff like
Me
this.
too. I'm upset. Like, dude, I will go one up anybody because I really do think the world, like, there might be like underground little clubs, man, that have been
Oh,
around
definitely.
for a long
Oh,
time.
that's for sure.
That know, like, the more you know, like, the truth, the more you're gonna like be above everybody
You know
else.
what's a crazy one too is the catacombs.
That's
Dude.
not the Vatican thing, right? How they all like have like an underground archive of like everything.
Dude, what they have in the catacombs is bodies, bones. How do you spell
The one in
catac-
French,
Yeah.
I think it's Catatomb.
CATA, catacombs. Well, the first one that popped up was it was Priscilla, but this is like the ones I was looking at had all these like bodies, catacombs, and skulls. Paris. Like this crazy. I mean, weird.
Yeah, dude.
Underneath, like just look at this stuff.
Yeah, I can get lost in this stuff.
This is like the
all
craziest
day.
stuff ever.
Damn.
You guys wish you could see. Oh, you got it pulled up. Oh, look at that right there. Is that crazy or what?
Yeah.
Everybody, check that out. So, hey, look over there. While he's got, keep it on that screen right there. But see the computer, it puts it up there.
Oh,
So
nice.
now we can actually go. Oh my God, check this out. We can actually look at this, and everybody that's watching right now can also tune in because this is some crazy stuff. Now, this probably has nothing to do with sobriety, but it has to do with like life, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay too because we don't give a shit. So, but look at this. This is the catacombs. Like these are like, isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Look at this. Scroll all the way down. Look at these things. Look at this, like right here. Look at that. What is this? They make this whole. Look at this. What's going on?
Who knows, dude? Like some
Bones.
cult stuff right there.
There's some crazy, crazy stuff going on. That's wild. Look at that. Now, check that. That's under catacomb. That's under Paris. Now, imagine that they went to your house and they found underneath your house a whole bunch of bones like that. Probably be a big deal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
But
huge.
because it's in Paris and now people pay to go see this stuff, right? But if that was happening, they'd be like serial killer. Like,
Yep.
what was going on?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Like this is like kind of, it's like that's kind of cool stuff, right? That I mean, I love that kind of stuff. It kind of is what makes people look that stuff up, and you can just go crazy with looking at stuff like this.
You can't, because like if you really dive deep in it, like the past seems like it was super like occulty, like the
There's
occult,
some really
like the
weird
really
shit going on. Like, and that's why you know the history, the narrative, and stuff like that. I like where's the Cologne Cathedral? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites.
This is my. I'm going to Germany just.
Oh, you
to,
are?
I'm going to go just for this
Nice.
because wouldn't that be just great to go check this
Yeah.
out? Come on now, they built this in the 1200s. That's what they want us to think.
Yeah, dude. Who knows? I feel like whoever does know, they're locking that
They just
up.
built a church like that. Everybody lives in huts and they don't have nothing, but they decided to build this thing. I don't think it was a church.
Yeah, dude. Who knows, man? I don't think the pyramids at all were a tomb. I think they're like like a power plant. Or
Power
something.
plants.
Yeah, that's
Oh
what
yeah,
I
I've
think.
seen
so.
that one
Yeah.
too. That's pretty cool too. I think that stuff's cool. I'm all about it.
Seriously, me too.
yeah.
I could lose like not even like days just thinking about it. It's so
Right, yeah,
fascinating.
it's cool stuff.
Because like
It's kind of, the thing about it too. What happens is it almost kind of just when you realize that if the information, the history, everything they're telling us is a false narrative in that respect, where they want us to believe that it's this, and they don't want us to know who built the pyramids or who actually built this and why and what they were for. What does that mean?
It means what I think it's because some people have a lot of power and control, and they want to hold on to it,
And
they don't want to let it go.
They want us to know
They don't want to let it go.
all the free energy
Knowledge
sources
is
that were
power.
available.
Yep.
Tesla had it. Like, what's funny is like even like Tesla, the free energy thing and how he got kind of shut down and they stole everything. It's because they want to be able to basically, they don't want to give anything away. They want to make us all pay. We keep paying new phones.
The way I see it, it would be like if you go back in time, right? And the dude that invented the car, I would feel like he would get killed by the horse and buggy folks because it's gonna put them out of business. That's what I kind of,
See, if they had the kind of power, they should have done that.
Yeah, that's what I kind of think.
You think, right? Because that the powers that be, that's what they do to new technology. That's going to put them out of it all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
That is a fact. 100%.
Yeah, I get lost on that stuff because I buy into almost all of it too.
Yeah, anything that's not normal is what I buy into. It's like if everybody believes in it, I rarely believe it.
Same. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it just makes so much, like, something to me seems off. Like, I really feel, like, even, like, Hollywood and all that, I just feel like it's so fake.
I feel like there was this meme, and it shows one guy in the middle of a crowd of people, and he's dissenting against their belief, and they're just, like, coming down on him like, you're an idiot, you're stupid, why do you believe that? And it's like this whole idea of like, just because he wants to be a free thinker and not agree to the status quo and actually think for himself.
Oh, do you know you would like then, Rich? Have you ever heard of Plato's allegory of the cave?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
that's what
I feel
that
like that's what. Yeah, I think it's exactly. It's 100% what it is. Yeah.
Like you believe what you're shown.
Yep.
And the outside world really exists out there, but you're not. We only want you to see this.
Then you can't process it because you don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to. And I think a lot of people get stuck with that. Yeah. I think in a lot of ways too, like recovery and trying to navigate like life, is so difficult for people because, we have working, making money and being a young person growing up in today's society, it's challenging. It requires a lot of effort, and a lot of guys, and I'll speak only from my perspective, is like learning how to launch into adulthood. Some people aren't competitive. Some people don't have motivation because of that. And it's interesting how we're talking about how the traumas that could like either completely crush you or they can make you more resilient, make you more motivated, make you have to prove yourself. So some of the things that are could be considered to be not a good, I guess you could say, how would I say that? How do I really want to say that? So like some of the things that make us motivate us may be negative, but really for us, they're positives, right? And then there's other people who just don't have any motivation at all. And it's very difficult for them to get up there and then go face and deal with life on life's terms because they're not motivated in any way. They may have had too easy of a ride growing up as a kid. Whereas somebody that had to really fight for everything, when they get into sobriety and they see the opportunity, it becomes a lot easier. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like I look at a lot of people and wonder how.
No, that makes perfect sense. 'Cause I remember a long time ago, I had a share. I said, I think the same things that really messed me up also gave me a lot of tools that help combat those defects, I guess.
Yeah, that's you said it better than I said it. That's exactly what it is. The things that messed it up gave me the tools to go and be better, stronger, faster. Yeah. And despite the fact that I was suffering, I just kind of pushed it to the side. I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to just go. All right, so where are we at time-wise, boss? Oh, we're at an hour and a half.
That went by so fast.
Okay, so hour and a half. That's so like, oh my God. Okay, so anyway, we're going to end on conspiracy theories and cathedrals and catacombs and just kind of be super grateful that we got to hang out with Ryan today. And
that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. We got a lot of experience, strength, and hope. We got a lot of history that literally, what I'd like to do based on, I don't know, I have a therapist friend. Like some of the times I go in here and I go, man, when people have like severe trauma, it's like trying to get like a clinical perspective on it.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Believe it or not, I've never been to therapy.
Would you want to do like a group?
Hell yeah.
If I brought a therapist in here, would you want to go in dive into some of that stuff?
I'm in a phase where I want to uncover more. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to push everybody away still.
Yeah.
Like I'm sober, which is great. And my life is fun, but it could be a little better.
Yeah,
So why
it's
not?
always better. And then the idea about helping other people, you take your experience, strength, and hope. You take the experience, good, bad, or indifferent, and you share with other people who are suffering. Because now you don't have to go into morbid reflection and make it sound like you're just beating a dead horse every time you share about the same traumas, and people go, "Oh fuck, he's going to share about that again," right? You don't have to do that, but you do it in a way so you could, in a general way, share about it so that the other person in the audience can hear that and come talk to you after the meeting and go, "Hey, you know what? I went through that. How did you get through it?" And you've got, like I said, when the universe collaborates in your favor like that, it means that it's calling you, saying, "We need you. We need you to put everything that you've been through into." You need to, like, when the third step prayer says, "God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt."
Yeah.
So you're offering yourself to your higher power to build with you and to do with you as it will. Relieve me of the bondage of self so that I can better do your will. So maybe the will of the universe in your case is to help other people who are suffering and use the experiences you've had and how you've overcome those to benefit other people, because it says that's the bright spot of our lives, right? If you read through the book and have that working knowledge, you'll realize it's constant thought of others and how we can be of service to them. So you have all this experience that you've had in your life. You've had all the good times, the bad times, the severe traumas, and you've managed to stay sober. You're a cool guy, relatively cool. You'll be able to help a lot of people once you can start piecing it all together. So when you get out there and go to those 12-step meetings and start carrying a message, acknowledging that, hey, listen, I'm here to help guys get through the steps. So see me after the meeting, and making that announcement, and going to places where you can help people who had similar experiences, because maybe that's what the universe is trying to do, is to get you to go to work for it.
I never heard it put that way, and that makes so much sense. No, that makes so much sense, because when I be of like service, right, it's never really like AA stuff. It's like I'll help people move. I'll help people financially. Like I'll never really open that book up and work with people that way. I've never done it.
Because you're looking for guys who have similar experiences as yours that don't know how to navigate the treacherous seas of recovery, of life. Life is dangerous. Life is troublesome. Life is challenging, and we need each other to get through it. They say a sailor doesn't become a good sailor by sailing calm seas.
Yeah.
He gets to be a good sailor for riding through the storms. And you've been through a lot of storms, and you're still sailing, and you got and you kind of look like a pirate right now, actually.
I get that a lot. Yep.
So anyway, hey guys, everybody, let's thank Ryan one last time.
Thank you guys.
Ryan is going to be back with us again, and we'll grab a therapist to kind of uncover some of that stuff and kind of just talk about that and get into like some deep stuff if you want to go there. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
It'll be good. And then other people that have similar experiences can tune in and basically learn what you're going to learn, and then, make this the fellowship, online community, bring it to life. That'll be sick, huh?
Oh, for
okay.
sure.
Say goodbye to the camera, everybody. Thanks for joining and tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with as many people as you can. And go to our YouTube channel and try to sign up. Whatever you have to do, subscribe to that. Facebook's just Facebook. You guys are awesome. You're probably not listening to this, and nobody will ever watch an hour and a half on Facebook. But it is going to be, we'll use some of this stuff. So anyway, have a great rest of the day. We love you guys. Thank you again, Ryan.
Yeah,
it was
thank you.
super awesome to have you here.
Fun.
Yeah, it was, huh?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, that's it. Wrap it.